Okay. Hello there, my fellow Caledonians. So I just came second at Euros over in Germany, and I was beaten by good friend Panos, who was playing the exact same deck. And a lot of people want to see what the deck looks like, the deck review. So here we go. This is a flag, always the Executioner, and this is the Buddy, which is the Cat of Hats. There's a joke behind that. I'm not going to bother explaining it. So let's move on to the actual deck itself. We play 4 of this little guy. His effect is pay a gauge, mill top 2 cards of your deck, and then put him into the soul of anything, and it gets soul guard. If there's more than 15 cards in your drop zone, it gets +1 critical. Now, Panos, the guy that beat me, wasn't playing any of this, but I think this thing is absolutely, is ridiculous. The fact that it lets you, you pay a gauge and you mill 2 means you've got an additional 3 cards in your drop zone already. And if you put this under this, you can get this thing up to 2, 3, 4 crit, and then the opponent's like, crap. Then you're like, attack for 4, draw a card, gain a life. Attack for 4, draw a card, gain a life. And I mean, you can just OTK with this and Galgarios himself. So we're going to lay these out for you so that you can see this at the end of the video as well, so that you can see the numbers. We play 2 of Zalgus. This guy, you have to pay a gauge, that's his call cost, but when you do, you get to search yourself the Gate of Judgment. I'm probably going to start calling it Gate of Hell because Japanese. It's called, this is called Hell's World in Japanese. It's called Executioners in English, you can imagine why. I play 4 of this guy, which is, you can pay a gauge when this guy is called, so you're not forced to. You can, if you want to preserve gauge, you can just call him normally. But if you do pay a gauge when he's summoned, then you get to search yourself the Gate of Hell, or the Gate of Judgment. Next card is Chaotic Hunter Soko, which is on summon, you mill the top 2 cards of your deck, and then you get to draw a card. You just do that, for free. So, I mean, you have to mill an Executioner, but you'll always mill an Executioner. So, that is perfectly fine. Sam Hogg, who came 7th at Euros, just walked into the shop. This is unusual.
Hi, people.
Next, we have 2 Violent Jailer Drago? I can't even remember his name. Unfortunately, I've got this little Ultra Pro stamp here that stops me from being able to read it properly. But this thing, 6,000 defense, it can just sit there and he straight up kills 72 pillars just by existing. Because 70 pillars try to do anything, and then as a counter, you pay a gauge, mill the top 2 cards of your deck, and then destroy a size 1 or less. Which I believe is how I beat Sam in Euros.
No,
was it?
Sharpness Field.
Sharpness Field as well, yeah.
It was that and drawing really, really badly.
I don't know if you guys can hear Sam in the background there, but so 3 of this cat, Sound Speed Jailer, 626. When he's called, pay gauge. You put the top card of your deck into soul, and whenever he's destroyed, you mill 2. So he's already going to mill 4 cards by himself. You also pay a gauge, which is 5 cards, and he's got move and he's got soul guard, so he should be protecting you from 2 attacks. Reason this guy isn't at 4 is simply because the other grade 2s are better than him. We play 4 of this guy because, man, is he ridiculous. Free to call, 5,000 defense, 2 critical. You can mill the top 3 cards of your deck to destroy an item or spell on the opponent's side of the field. There is no deck that, that this isn't going to work against, because everything realistically plays items or spells, and sometimes both. And just being able to get this off, there's a lot of times I'll just call this guy, mill 3, and then just call another card over the top of him, because literally this could have been a spell that said mill 3, destroy an item or spell, and I'd still have played it at 4. The fact that he's a monster and he stays in the field is incredible. For my buddy, the Cat of Hats himself, pay gauge, 712. He's got double attack, and whenever he destroys a monster or deals damage to the opponent, you get to draw a card and gain a life. So this can very quickly become a problem for the opponent. So generally you don't call this guy to the centre, you call him to the right, and then the opponent has to choose between, okay, am I going to try and kill you this turn, or am I going to try and get rid of this, which is giving you so much advantage, and if they can't kill you, then, this thing starts becoming a major problem. There's a lot of times that I won games, when I was entirely dead, just by calling this over to the right, and the opponent choosing to destroy that instead of just, going for the kill that turn. Next card we have Galgarios himself. This thing just allows for an infinite amount of OTKs. He's pay 3 gauge, middle top 5 cards in your deck, which is 8 cards you put into your drop zone straight off the bat. If there's 15 or more in the drop zone, he gets penetrate and +1 critical. He's already got double attack. So this is 3 crit that has double attack and penetrate, which is already 6 damage. It is so easy to just go from this into the impact, or any amount of thing that can do. The weapon himself can also just deal 4 damage. We'll get to that later, but this thing is incredible. There's absolutely no reason to not play 4 of this. He's got lifelink 2, which is completely fine. You're on 8 life. You probably turn 1 you're going to take like 2 or 3 damage, so you're going to be on 5 or possibly 4 life before it starts. So this is dangerous, but he'll win you games, and it's a massive problem for the opponent. The opponent has to take care of it. We've got 3 of the impact, not 4, because it doesn't warrant being at 4. When you get it off, it generally wins. But the problem this card has is its weakness is against Executioners itself, and its weakness is this card, which can destroy it when it enters the field and tries to destroy everything. That's his one downside, because when he declares the attack, you can't activate any counters, but when he's summoned, you can counter as much as you want. So you can play the thing that says, next time I'll take damage, it's reduced. Next time you do anything, it would be reduced, and all of that perfectly works. That stops him. We play 3 of this card, which is pay a gauge, draw a card. If you have 10 or more in your drop zone, draw 2. The reason we play 3 of it is because there are actually better drop cards in here. Generally, you can get this off turn 1 if you've got a good enough hand, but sometimes, you'll realise that, from your starting hand, you'll only be able to get, 4 or 5 cards in your drop zone, and then you'll probably gauge and draw this card. So this card, really good later on, especially late game, but in turn 1, not as relevant as some of the other cards. That's why it's at 3 and not at 4. 3 of this card, which allows you to call an Executioner or a Skull Warrior, which allows you to call any Skull Warrior from your drop zone. The additional effect is at the beginning of your turn you can pay 2 gauge to add this to hand. Now Executioner gets a lot of gauge really quickly through the effect of Gate of Judgment. So you can easily pay the 2 gauge for this and then just call your guy. It gives you options. The reason it's at 3 is because turn 1 it doesn't help very much, and you're all about the early game with Executioners because there's so many decks that can kill you in turn 1 or turn 2. So you have to be prepared for that, but you also have to be prepared for the late game. We play 4 Hell Shield, which can only be activated if you've got an Executioner in the field, so it doesn't work turn 1. It doesn't work when the opponent goes first. You simply pay a gauge, negate the attack. If there's 10 or more in the drop zone, you gauge 2, so it's essentially a Blue Dragon Shield because you're paying a gauge and then you're gauging 2, so you're +1 gauge. And if there's 15 or more in the drop zone, then it does 1 damage to the opponent, and this card can't be nullified. So one of the best defensive shields in the entire game, because there's so many times you'll bring the opponent down to 1 or 2 life and you'll have 1 or 2 of this in hand. You can even just pay 3 gauge with the Gate of Judgment to add this back to hand, and all you need is 1 gauge, because after you play the first one you're up to 2 gauge, then you play a second one you're up to 3 gauge, and this can just kill opponents. You can win games off of just this, just killing the opponent with that. 4 of the Gate of Verdict Judgment, which is arguably the most important card in the deck. That's why we've got we have 6 monsters here that search the card, and 4 of it itself. Its effect is, first effect, mill the top 2 cards of your deck to gain top card of your deck. So that's already +2 in your drop zone, +1 into your gauge. And the second effect is you can pay 3 gauge to search any Executioner, not Executioner monster, any Executioner, which includes spells and items, everything you want, and then add it to hand. And if you have 15 or more cards in your drop zone after you've added the card to hand, then you get to draw a card as well. So the massive advantage you can get off of this is ridiculous. There was no need for the draw card at the end of it. It was so ridiculous. This is what makes Executioners ridiculous. That's what makes it really stupid. This card is equally stupid. This card, for all intents and purposes, is Death Grip, which is pay a gauge to destroy as high as 2 monsters on the field. Can only be activated if you have an Executioner on the field, which is fine because you almost certainly will. but you won't have on your very first turn. You know, when the opponent, if you go second and the opponent declares an attack, you won't have this active, and that's the only time you won't have this active. But if you have 15 or more, I'm pretty sure it's 15. Is it 20? Yeah, it's 20. Sorry. If you have 20 or more in the drop zone, then instead of destroy a size 2 monster, you can destroy any card on the field, and that includes items, that includes impacts, that includes size 3s, that includes set spells. You know, it's so, you know, like this can kill so many decks. You know, it's like, it's stupid the fact that this is a counter. You know, the next card we play 2 of this, which is called Damage Control. Generic card. It's the only generic card that's main decked. The reason for this is because you start on 8 life. That sometimes you want to get this out early, and then you can, every turn, you can discard a card from your hand to reduce damage by 2. Equally, hilariously, since these are both battle robos, if you have one of this in hand, you can discard the other one to reduce damage by 4. I've done this a handful of times, and there's on occasion times when that can actually like win you a game by keeping the second damage control in hand until it's necessary. We play 4 of this, which is another stupid card. This is just counter, mill the top 3 cards of your deck. The next time you take damage, it's reduced by 3. Now, you can do this on your turn. So if there's times when Galgarios is not on his 3 critical, you know, if you've only got like 12 in drop zone, you can play this and then go up to 15. Equally, the item it requires 15 or more critical, 15 more in the drop zone to get its +2 critical. You can just do this. There's times that I've went attack, and the opponents went, that's fine, and then go counter, mill 3. The opponent's like, crap, okay, that's 4 damage, I'm dead. You know, so many different variations of things. Next card is a Sliding Fang, I think it's called. This is counter. Next time an Executioner is destroyed, it's not destroyed. This isn't an Executioner monster, this is any Executioner. So if the opponent goes to try and destroy Gate of Hell, then you can just play this to prevent the destruction of Gate of Hell. You can use it to prevent the destruction of this. You can use it to prevent the destruction of your item. You can use it to prevent the destruction of anything, you know. It's versatile, you know, needlessly versatile. Last spell we've got here. This card is mill the top 2 cards of your deck, gauge 1, draw 1. It's Dragon Emperor Legend, except you mill 2, which is amazing. The only problem is you have to mill an Executioner, so if you mill both of these, which has never ever happened to me before, then you don't get the gauge draw. That's the only possibility. And then finally, the last cards in our deck are 4 of the weapon, which is 2,000 attack, 2 critical. If you have 15 or more in the drop zone, it gets +4. It gets +2, so it goes to 4 critical. So there's so many OTKs you can do with this, because this thing is so easy to search. You can, a lot of this, any of this card, you can just mill and then pay 3 gauge from this and just bring it back to hand. In turn 1, you start with 4 gauge, so you gauge and draw, which puts you up to 5, and then you use the effect of this to mill 2 and gauge 1, puts you up to 6 gauge. So you definitely have enough gauge. I mean, you could just go pay 3 gauge, return this to hand, pay 3 gauge, call this, and you know you've milled a ridiculous amount of your deck already. So yes, let's move on to the side deck before we finish up. I always play one of these guys on my side deck because it's hilarious. And I mean, if you get this off, like, it's really bad to play in this because this is a 70 card deck, so I mean, you've got a lot of chance of just hitting like spells or items, and then this does nothing. But when this card is destroyed, you mill the top 3 cards of your deck, and then you can call any monsters from among them without paying their call cost. It's really hilarious if this dies, and then you call this on the opponent's turn, because this goes, destroy all your monsters. The opponent's like, oh, well, that end. Then you're like, attack. Yeah, you can't counter. And you're like, okay. This guy, he's fantastic in every single deck, except for this one, because this guy does his effect way, way better. Because this is pay 1 gauge, this is free. This is when this enters the field, destroy an opponent's item, and when you take damage, destroy an opponent's item. So it gives you a lot of item destruction, and that's very required for a lot of decks. 2 Barbed Wire, which is rest an opponent's item. This is really good against mainly Danger World. Also helps against this deck, but I wouldn't side it in against this deck, because anything that has huge amount of critical on their weapon, or anything that their weapon gets lots of things, this is what kills Kaiserian as well. This is why Kaiserian isn't a meta anymore, because
Legend.
you could use it against Legend.
Winning maximum.
Yeah, winning maximum, things like this. Anything hero world where you transform in things, that's always a good thing. We play another 2 damage control. This was more fear. I didn't know what I was going to say this in against. This was in case the opponent just goes, turn 1 I'll deal 30 damage, and I was like, oh crap. This was all this was sided against. And we have 4 Sharpness Field, which is sided exclusively to kill 72 pillars. Because up until Sharpness Field existed, 72 pillars was the meta deck. And 72 pillars was what I almost played, but because Sharpness Field existed, I swapped to Executioners. Sam went for 72 pillars, and both of us were deciding, do we play 72 pillars or do we play Executioners? And I went for Executioners, Sam went for 72 pillars, and I think Sharpness Field was the difference in how well we did.
To be fair, the difference was that I didn't side well.
Yes.
I didn't, because I haven't played in like a month, I was like looking for cards to side and picked the wrong cards.
I'll show you some other things that I just keep about with me. These are Bushwood Employees business cards on the back. They're all Vanguard. This one is Mr. Kadani himself, who is the owner of all of Bushwood, including New Japan Pro Wrestling. Sasha, a good friend of mine. Stephen helps out with the European office. Eddie used to be managing director of the European office. He moved into Japan, and Kim, he was the guy that I spoke to become the first distributor of Vanguard in the UK. That's Executioners, guys. Like, share, subscribe, etc., etc. Yeah, whatever.